Next, this affects me and I don't know all the details. This comes from Rocket Chat, so thanks for sharing this with me. And I do not know exactly what's going to happen at this time, but the title is Cryptocurrency Miners Need Approval from ERCOT to Plug into the Texas Grid. And this is coming from Dallas, Texas. And let's get into it. So Texas cryptocurrency miners must now get approval from ERCOT to connect to the state's power grid. State regulators said the new requirement is to ensure new large loads do not overwhelm the grid. Ever since China began cracking down on Bitcoin mining, miners have been rushing to Texas to take advantage of the state's cheap power prices, tax incentives, as well as the ability to connect to the grid quickly. In the next 2 years, cryptocurrency mining operations are expected to quadruple in Texas, according to the Texas Blockchain Council. This would put the Lone Star State on track to become the world's largest producer of Bitcoin in less than 2 years. Quote, this will put a massive amount of stress on the Texas energy grid, end quote, said William Magnuson, the author of Blockchain Democracy and a cryptocurrency legal expert at the Texas A&M Law School. Quote, we know the Texas energy grid has had its struggles in the last couple of years, so I do worry about the effects of imposing massive new energy use on a grid that we know is or has been relatively unstable, end quote. During the 2021 deadly winter storm, millions of Texans went without power for days as the Texas grid failed in the freezing conditions to keep up with the demand. In the past year, steps have been taken to increase the power grid's capacity and to winterize power plants. Still, many energy experts believe the Texas grid remains vulnerable, and a rush of high energy using cryptocurrency mining facilities could further stress the grid. A typical large crypto mining facility houses tens of thousands of high-powered computer servers referred to as miners. These miners operate around the clock, competing with other miners to solve complex math equations. The computer that solves the problem first produces a new Bitcoin and then is rewarded with Bitcoins for themselves. The electricity it takes to produce a single Bitcoin is equivalent to the amount used to power an average Texas home for 62 days. Magnuson said ERCOT's new approval process for large cryptocurrency mining facilities is a good start, but added it's what state regulators do with the information they learn from the studies that will be key. Quote, how are they going to weigh the cost and benefits of adding this new mining companies to the grid? That is where the rubber meets the road, end quote, he said. Lee Bratcher, the president of Texas Blockchain Council, said he views the new proposal step as an opportunity to share with ERCOT how cryptocurrency miners can strengthen the grid. Quote, we actually see this approval process as a positive development, end quote, he said. By using electricity that might otherwise go wasted during low demand times and then powering down during peak demand times, Bratcher said Bitcoin miners will attract additional power generators to the state while offering flexibility to stabilize the grid. In many cases, Bitcoin miners can make money when turning their power off by selling their electricity back to the grid when demand is high. Quote, Bitcoin mining is not going to solve all the grid's power problems, but it's part of the solution to be sure, end quote, Bratcher said. Some cryptocurrency miners have expressed concern about how long the approval process could take. ERCOT officials told CBS 11 iTeam, quote, the time ERCOT takes for its new interim review will vary depending on the site and what concerns may be identified. Each study is based on the unique circumstances it presents, end quote. ERCOT officials and cryptocurrency miners are expected to meet later this month to hash out details of the new approval process. So, I have a lot of people asking me, like, how does this affect you? Excuse my alarm here. How does this affect you? What are you going to do about it? That sort of thing. Clearly, there's not enough details for me to know exactly how it affects my particular farm. I have an idea because the low power consumption that I have, plus the approval process that I'm already going through with the actual electricity company that isn't necessarily ERCOT, that they're going to be handling that as we build out this phase 3 area. So, I don't necessarily think that it will affect me directly. I think this is going to be more aimed towards really, really massive, large-scale operations. Now, hopefully I get to a massive, large-scale operation, and I'll go through the whole approval process and we'll figure it out. That's much easier said than done, right? So I'm not expecting to be at that point anytime soon. That being said, though, we are going to be keeping an eye on this, and when the new details come out next month, we'll definitely get it covered. We've had a lot of details to cover, right? Lots of new stuff happening. We're just going to have to see what happens. I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Morning Show every Monday through Friday, 7:45 a.m. Pacific and 10:45 a.m. Eastern Time. You can check out more clips here, or if you're interested in checking out the entire live show, you can check that out down here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday.